Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good
Hi, thank you for coming
morning.
to today's Autumn Higan Talk Story with Reverend Kiyonobu Kuwahara. I know Reverend Kuwahara from way back when I had my tokodo. He was our translator at one time, yeah. Good job, he did. Look where it led me.
I
Anyway,
had to whip him.
I'm going to introduce Reverend Kuwahara in detail, yeah. Today's topic is Jodo Shinshu and daily life. It's very interesting. From what I understand, the talk story is a Hawaiian tradition, yeah, that you get together, with a speaker, and then it's an informal uh, meeting, in other words, yeah. So this is not a formal classroom, and feel free, be relaxed, you know. It's not a difficult topic. As a matter of fact, it's very interesting. There will be two breaks during the session. The first one will be after about an hour or so, and then the second one. There will be a question and answer session. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask the sensei. Yeah, fortunately, it's question and answer session is you are going to be asking the question, not him asking you.
That's right.
So don't worry about anything. Okay, let me introduce Reverend Kuwahara. Reverend Kuwahara, his first name is Kiyonobu. He was born on January the 10th, 1975. So now he's 35 years old, still young. I envy him. He was born in Kure City, Hiroshima. I believe most of you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I know so many Hiroshima people here.
Yeah. And in March of 1997, he obtained his BA in English education at Hiroshima University. And after that, he went to Ryukoku University in Kyoto, obtained his MA in Jodo Shinshu. And then he stayed on at Ryukoku University until March 2003, completed his PhD. Wow, sugoi. Program in Jodo Shinshu. And then in May of 2006, he obtained his MA in Jodo Shinshu at the Institute of Buddhist Studies in Berkeley. That's in the mainland. For his work experience, he worked at the Jodo Shinshu Honganjiha International Department. That's the place where I stayed when I studied in Kyoto. He was there from August 2006. And then in October of 2007, he was assigned to BCA Jodo Shinshu Center, the Honganji office.
So I'm a kind of spy.
Right. He is a coordinator for Jodo Shinshu correspondence course, and also the coordinator for International Ministerial Orientation Program. Yeah, he's the man, yeah. Reverend Kuwahara is the oldest son of a temple family in Kure. His grandfather was a Kaikyoshi minister in Manchuria during the Second World War. After the war, he came back to Japan and established a new temple in Kure because he was not from a temple family and thus had no temple to take over. Reverend Kuwahara married his wife, Hitomi, in March of 2003. They have two sons. First one is Takato, 5 years old. And the second one has an interesting name, 8. Yeah, like the number 8. I think he will explain that to you in details, why he chose that name. And the boy is now 15 months. Oh, still a young baby.
Oh, ごめんなさい. So that's wrong information. He'll be 2 in the next month.
I'm
so he's
sorry.
23 months now.
Oh, okay.
Almost terrible too.
Reverend Kuwahara, it says here, he likes to eat, especially, get a load of this, potato chips, pizza, hamburger, French fries. In other words, American food. His favorite word is want less and realize that I have plenty, from the largest sutra. 小欲知足 Yeah.
ですね.
Although it says here in the final word, although I am a greedy man. I don't know what he meant by that, but without much further ado, let me turn over the floor to Reverend Kuwahara. よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。Thank you very much. So, you マイク使った方がいいかな? Can you hear me? Yeah. Yeah, camera. And I have a small, a wireless mic too, so. Fine. Thank you, Sora-san. ありがとうございます。All right, so today I got a request from Rinban to do talk story today, and I'm not a typical person who wants to speak a lot. So I thought it's difficult to give you stories for 3 hours. So that's why it's good for you to listen to my boring stories for 3 hours. So I thought it's better to deliver some lecture or on this occasion. And then this is a kind of story of my appreciation of Jodo Shinshu now. So I thought it's good to do this lecture on this talk story on this occasion. So anyway, as Sora-san introduced, I am now working at the Jodo Shinshu Center in Berkeley. It's the new building, just 3 years old. We had a dedication, 2007, August. And then it's a new building, and then we have some tenants, like a BCA bookstore and the Center for Buddhist Education. This is a kind of education department of the Buddhist Churches of America. And then CBE, Center for Buddhist Education, and the IBS, Institute of Buddhist Studies. This is a graduate school, especially for Jodo Shinshu and Buddhist studies. And then also Ryukoku University has a office in that Jodo Shinshu Center too. So Jodo Shinshu Center is a kind of building, and then we have some tenants, and then they are doing their jobs. And then my office is located in the Jodo Shinshu Center too, which is called Honganji office. This office is for especially Jodo Shinshu correspondence course. I think you have ever seen this brochure at the Hondo. I'm coordinating online correspondence course. And then do you know Bart Smika-san? Reverend Bart Smika? He's taking this course too. This is online and internet correspondence course. So as long as people have internet access, they can have a chance to study Jodo Shinshu and Buddhism. Now we have 78 students all over the world. So continental US and Hawaii, Canada, Japan, Germany, Belgium, Europe, and Malaysia, and Brazil. So many people are interested in Buddhism and Jodo Shinshu, and they are taking this program. And interestingly, so we have now 78 students, but about 10%, 8 students are not a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist. I mean, they are from, some people from like Wisconsin and New Mexico or Texas, where there's no Jodo Shinshu temple. But somehow they got the information about Shinran Shonin and the Nembutsu teaching. And then they got interested in those teachings. And then somehow they happen to find this course. And they are taking this program to get to deepen their appreciation or knowledge of Jodo Shinshu and the Shinran Shonin. So I think, the teaching of Nembutsu is spreading to more people in the world, due to the development of the technology, internet. See? So nowadays people are getting interested in the Buddhism, and then they can get many information, lots of information from internet. And then once people start studying Japanese Buddhism, they cannot but encounter the Shinran Shonin. See? Shinran Shonin is one of the main figure of the Japanese Buddhism. So they have to meet Shinran Shonin. And then maybe some of them get interested in, oh, this is a nice teaching. And then that's how they are interested in the Jodo Shinshu teaching or Nembutsu teaching. So anyway, I'm coordinating this correspondence course program so that to spread the, transmit the joy of Nembutsu teaching to more people. And also I'm a coordinator of IMOP, International Ministerial Orientation Program. So this is a special program to train Japanese people who wants to become a Kaikyoshi minister. See, until 2007, 2007, Japanese people who want to become a Kaikyoshi minister, they have just a 3-week lecture at the Honganji. That's it. Now you are, minister. Go and serve, temples in the Canada, Hawaii, BCA. But now we have a Jodo Shinshu Center now. So using, this facility, Jodo Shinshu Center, we established a new program to train those Japanese people, sending to the Jodo Shinshu Center, and they stay 4 months. And then they go to a language school at the UC Berkeley, and they receive lectures by ministers and members, and then they go to some, other Christian church or then monastery and the synagogues, and they have some kind of, interfaith dialogue. And then also they go to Sunday service every Sunday, or also they have an internship. So in this 4 months program, they get some, they establish some foundation to become a Kaikyoshi minister in the future. So this is my another hat. This is my another program that I'm coordinating now. So Hojo Sensei is the first, student who completed this program. Yeah, so Hojo Sensei, and the first year we had 4 students. One of them is Hojo Sensei. And the 2 came to BCA as a Kaikyoshi minister. And the 1 went to Brazil to be a Kaikyoshi minister. And then last year we had 1 student, and he's in the process of applying for a R1 visa, religious visa now. So I'm looking for his coming to BCA. So anyway, so these 2 programs, correspondence course, and then a Kaikyoshi minister training is my job at the Jodo Shinshu Center. So anyway, I think I talked too much about myself. So, hello, welcome, welcome. Yes?
So where's Reverend Kurosawa then? He's not in this program.
Not this program. He's at the, now he's taking IBS program. Yeah, Institute of Buddhist Studies. Yeah, also he goes to a language school too. Yeah, at the UC Berkeley to improve his English. But I talked with him and I heard his English. His English is not so bad. Yeah, so I think just he should be some courage, courage to speak. Yeah. So I'm not worried about him. I think he can survive. So anyway, but if you are interested in this correspondence course, please come up to me. I'll give you this detailed information of this program. And Cassie-san is also, she is taking this program too. So if you have a question, ask her or ask Bart Sumika-san. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so now I'd like to go to this handout. So Buddhist, Jodo Shinshu and daily life. Yeah. On the first page, page number 3, I put a kind of introduction. Yeah. So this lecture, today's lecture consists of 2 parts. The first part is on overview of the Jodo Shinshu teaching. And the latter part is about how Jodo Shinshu teaching is related to our daily lives. Yeah. The reason why I will begin with the overview of Jodo Shinshu teaching is that I think it would be helpful for understanding the primary theme of this lecture, how Jodo Shinshu and the daily life. In other words, without a basic understanding of the teaching, my lecture on the main topic would be futile. It is hoped that you will find what I will discuss in the latter part to be the natural and the necessary consequence of the Jodo Shinshu teaching presented in the first part of my lecture. But I know you heard the teaching of Jodo Shinshu for a long time. So I know you have the basic understanding of the Jodo Shinshu. But anyway, let me introduce some basic aspect of Jodo Shinshu in the first part of my lecture, right? And then the second paragraph. So in addition to the main topic, I have inserted my challenging theme into this lecture, which is a bridge between Jodo Shinshu and general Buddhism. See, it seems to me that people have relatively less difficulties in understanding universally accepted Buddhist teaching, which is like a Four Noble Truths and the impermanence or interdependent arising, and so forth. However, at the temple, once ministers start talking about the Jodo Shinshu versions of Buddhism, many people have more difficulties in grasping the concept, or maybe they start, meditation. See? Closing eyes and then. So, see? Anyway, this might be, minister's explanation is not good enough, maybe. But anyway, so this might lead one to conclude that Jodo Shinshu teaching and Buddhist teaching are totally different things, although Jodo Shinshu is, of course, a Buddhist teaching, right? Or I would say Shinran Shonin, he wonderfully revealed the essence of Buddhism or the spirit of Shakyamuni Buddha in his teaching. So I, as a Jodo Shinshu minister, feel a great responsibility of working on this situation in which people see a big gap between Buddhist teaching and the Jodo Shinshu teaching. So in order to bridge this gap, that is to indicate that the Jodo Shinshu is totally based on long-standing Buddhist traditions, and that it is not the arbitrary thought of our founder Shinran Shonin. Especially in the first part of my lecture, which introduces the essentials of Jodo Shinshu, I intentionally put more emphasis on referring to Buddhist teachings and the quotations from the monks that Shinran Shonin based his teachings on. So this is a kind of my intention or my thought in this lecture that I'd like to share with you this morning. So let's go to the page 4. So the first thing is, Jodo Shinshu is one of the many Buddhist paths. See? So what is Buddhism? What is Buddhism? I think there are two major answers. One is the teaching by Shakyamuni Buddha. Oshaka-sanによって説かれた教え. This is one answer. And then the other answer is the teachings to be a Buddha, to become an enlightened one. This is a second answer to the question. And then regarding the second answer, how do we become enlightened one? How do we become Buddha? The answer would be there are many paths to get the goal, which is sometimes described as 84,000 Dharma gates. 84,000 Dharma gates. And then to explain this, I put the image or illustration at the bottom of page 4. It's called Mount Buddhism. Mount Buddhism. See? Our goal, our destination is like a hut on the top of the mountain. See? To get to this destination, hut, there are many paths or roads from the mountain foot to the top. Right? So this is a kind of notion to understand the 84,000 Dharma gates. Only one goal, but there are many paths to get to this destination. And also I put parachute and helicopters too, right? So if the purpose is to get to this hut on the top, I think it's possible to use a parachute and coming down from the sky, or using a helicopter and then to get this hut. This is also other ways to get to this destination or the hut. So in this way, to get this hut on the top of mountain, there are many ways, there are many methods we can use, right? So in that way, there are many ways of path in the Buddhist tradition. See? Although the goal, the purpose is one, but there are many methods or ways. Then let's move to page 5. Why? Why are there so many paths, so many methods? So Shakyamuni Buddha, he expressed his teachings in various ways so that listeners could follow the most appropriate path according to their abilities. Yeah? Then I put the 3 finger pointings under this answer. See, the first thing is preach in accordance with listeners' capability. In Japanese, taiki seppo. See, so Shakyamuni Buddha, he delivered his teaching in accordance with the capability or ability of listener. So if the listener likes philosophical or complicated things, Shakyamuni Buddha delivered in accordance with his preference. And then if the listeners are like very small kids or young guy who don't have a deep understanding of philosophy or that background, Shakyamuni Buddha delivered his teaching in the plain words. But the essence of his teaching is the same, right? He changed the way how express, how deliver his teaching. He changed the way how he delivered. So this is one of the character of a Buddhist way of teaching or transmitting the teaching to people. See? And then the second finger, pointing is so various teachings. Shakyamuni Buddha delivered his teaching in various ways. And then that's why various practice. See? But there is only one realization. So I'm going to go back to this illustration. See, so teaching is like this, indication or kanban at the beginning of this path, and then practice is, actually we walk this, road to the top of the mountain. See, so there are many teachings, and there are many paths or practice, but only one realization, only one destination. So this is a kind of character of Buddhist teaching, the way how Shakyamuni Buddha delivered his teaching. See, and then the third finger points the necessity of carefully choosing a path appropriate to me, reflection upon myself. See, there are many ways, there are many paths to one destination, but we have to examine or check those paths, which path is best to me or appropriate to me. See, if the path doesn't fit me, we cannot complete it, right? So that's why we should carefully check or examine the path, which means we should know myself. See, we should know myself, and then looking at comparing my ability over myself, and then we can make a choice of which path I should take. See, this is an important step in the Buddhist tradition. So reflection upon myself, this is very, very important thing. Okay, so now I go to so this is a picture of Shinran Shoni. Yeah, Shinran Shoni. So Jodo Shinshu is one of the various paths that aim at the attainment of enlightenment. The teaching was revealed by a Japanese monk, Shinran Shoni, based on the Buddhist sutras and the teachings of eminent monks. So on page 24 to 25, I put this is the appendix part. Okay. I put the illustration too on page 24. This is a flow from Shakyamuni Buddha to Shinran Shoni. Okay. I put the Shinran Shoni top and then Shakyamuni Buddha at the bottom. See? So this is a kind of sphere or world of Buddhism. And then Buddhism was established or founded by Shakyamuni Buddha. Right? And then the Buddhism in those days is called the early Buddhism. Early Buddhism. But after Shakyamuni Buddha passed away, he has lots of disciples. But once they lost their leader, they have a kind of conflict of how they understand the teaching Shakyamuni Buddha gave to them. See? And then there's a kind of they were divided into 20 groups because they have a different understanding or interpretation of the teaching they have received. So they become sectarian Buddhism. See, after Shakyamuni Buddha passed away, because of the difference of the interpretation of teaching, they divided into 20 groups, which is called sectarian Buddhism. And then among these groups, one of the group, Theravada group, they became strong. And then which is called the Theravada or Hinayana Buddhism. See? But this Buddhism is more like a monastery type of Buddhism. See, people, they confine themselves in the monastery, and they live far away from the town or other peoples. And then some people thought, oh, this is not a kind of a spirit of Shakyamuni Buddha. See, Buddhism is a teaching, not only for people in the monastery. Buddhist teaching, Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching is for everybody, even people living in the town. Right? So some people try to go back to the spirit of Shakyamuni Buddha. Okay, Buddhism is not only the form living in the monastery, but we can practice the Buddhism, Shakyamuni Buddha's teaching in the daily life. So they try to reappreciate the Shakyamuni Buddha's spirit. This is a kind of movement of Mahayana Buddhism. They try to release the teaching to more people. So that's why I put kind of this arrow from Shakyamuni Buddha's group, this Mahayana Buddhism. Although there are 500 or 600 gap between this early Buddhism and the Mahayana Buddhism, but they try to base their teaching on the Shakyamuni Buddha's spirit. Not the direct teaching, but the Shakyamuni Buddha's spirit. That's why I connect this arrow between early Buddhism and the Mahayana Buddhism. And also, there is a kind of conflict of arrow here, Mahayana Buddhism and the Theravada Buddhism. So Theravada Buddhism is a kind of special teaching for special people. But Mahayana Buddhism, they try to open the door of teaching to more people. So that's why I thought this is a kind of different orientation of Buddhism. So that's why there is a kind of conflict of this arrow between Mahayana Buddhism and the Hinayana Buddhism. And then in the Mahayana tradition, see, Jodo Shinshu is in the Mahayana tradition. And then in this Mahayana tradition, we have a great eminent monks. Like in India, Nagarjuna and the Vasubandhu. And in China, Tonglan, Taocho, Shandao. And then in Japan, Genshin and the Honen. See, those people are great monks, eminent monks. And then they appreciate the teaching of Amida Buddha. Amida Buddha, or Nembu's teaching. So based on their teachings, Shinran Shonin revealed the teaching of Nembutsu. See? Referring to their teaching or passages, Shinran Shonin, he revealed the teaching of Nembutsu or Amida Buddha. So on page 25, I put a very brief summary of the teaching of seven masters. This is maybe too short, but from Nagarjuna to Honen Shonin. See, Shinran Shonin selected the seven eminent monks who he thought revealed the essence of Buddhism and the teaching of Amida Buddha. So those are, and then also Shinran Shonin, he put the most emphasis on the 3 Pure Land Sutras on page 25, at the bottom of page 25, 3 Pure Land Sutras. Yeah? Larger Sutra, and the Contemplation Sutra, and then Amida Sutra. Yeah? So larger Sutra is talking about Amida Buddha. Ne? Amida Buddha. It's a sutra on a Buddha who has been devoting to salvific working. And the Contemplation Sutra, the second one is about sutra on those who are to be receive this salvific working. And then the third sutra, Amida Sutra, is about how the salvific working is fulfilled. But this is a very brief summary of the 3 Pure Land Sutras. But anyway, so Shinran Shonin's teaching is totally based on those 7 masters and then 3 Pure Land Sutras. Okay, go back to the. Yeah. So at the bottom of page 5, I put the Kyogyo Shinshu. Shinran Shonin's main work is, we usually call it Kyogyo Shinshu. But the title, full title is Ken Jodo Shinjitsu Kyogyo Shomonrui. Ken Jodo Shinjitsu Kyogyo Shomonrui is the full title of the Kyogyo Shinshu. And then interestingly, the number 7, Monrui, means correction. See? So Kyogyo Shinshu is the kind of measure the work to reveal his teaching, his understanding of Buddhism. But this work, this book is not all his passages, but rather I would say 80% of Kyogyo Shinshu consists of quotation from eminent monks or other sutras. So that's why this Kyogyo Shinshu is called Monroi, correction of passages. So that's why his teaching is not his arbitrary understanding or thought, but his teaching is totally based on the teachings revealed by eminent monks and other sutras. See? So this is a kind of his attitude. Okay, so now let's move to page 6. See? Now you see a guy with a short hair. This is me. And then, yeah, because now, I changed my mind. I used to, have this short hair because to save my money to go to a barber's. I can, cut my hair using clipper at home. But my wife told me, she said, I fed up with your Hagata bald hair now. So I decided to, grow my hair now. So this is the hairstyle that she made when we get married. So now but anyway, so this is a kind of my appreciation, my answer. Kuwahara's description of Jodo Shinshu without Jodo Shinshu technical terms. See? Number 1, Jodo Shinshu is a path of deep and candid reflection upon my life or myself. Okay? Inwardly, what kind of person I am. See, what is it inside of me? And also outwardly, what is this world where I'm living now? See? So Jodo Shinshu is a kind of teaching to deeply or carefully reflect upon myself and then the world I'm living now. And then the second thing is that Jodo Shinshu is a path of leading mindful, careful, grateful, and meaningful life. See? This is another aspect of Jodo Shinshu. So I'd like to explain more about my description or appreciation, understanding of Jodo Shinshu. Okay? The first, the number 1, Jodo Shinshu is a path of deep and candid reflection upon myself, my life. Yeah? So Buddhism, Buddhism is the teaching of realization. It's not the teaching of blindly believing in something. Right? Buddhism is a teaching of realization. It's In other words, mindful reflection upon myself or this world or everything. See? So it's not a blindly believing in something. And then, let's refer to the starting point of Buddhism. Yeah? Prince Siddhartha, Shakyamuni Buddha's reflection upon his existence and this world, this is a kind of starting point of Buddhism. I put the, leaving home on page 26. This is a kind of story of, that triggered, that he encouraged him to leave home and to become a Buddhist, monk. If you have extra copies of a handout, give the handout to them. Okay. All right. Then. So this is a kind of story or the trigger of Shakyamuni Buddha's leaving home, why he decided to leave home. As you know, Prince Siddhartha, he was a prince, right? Prince of a country, kingdom. But he left home and tried to find the path, how do we deal with sufferings, issues in our life. See? So this is how he left the home, and then the essence of his leaving home, he tried to reflect upon his life or the world or everything around him. So this is a kind of characteristic of Buddhism. And then also, I put the Four Noble Truths on page 6. Example of mindful reflection, Four Noble Truths. On page 27 and 28, I put the kind of summary or explanation of Four Noble Truths. I'd like to go to page 6. See, in Buddhism, we have 4 truths. The first one is nature of suffering. We have to suffer. As long as we live in this world, we have to suffer. We have to encounter suffer, more or less. So Shakyamuni Buddha, he tried to examine or think about this suffering. And then second truth is origin of suffering. See? Why do we suffer? And then he tried to find the cause or origin of suffering. See? This is because we have a bonno, blind passion. We have a ignorance. We have a greed. We have a anger. That's why we have to suffer. See? It's like suffering is not coming from outside. It's like we have the cause or seed of suffering. See? So this is the second truth of Buddhism. So this is number one, number 2 is like a cause and effect. Because of the number 2, we have the seed or cause of suffering. We have to suffer, number 1. This is a cause and effect relationship. And then now go to number 3 and number 4. Sensation of suffering. So we don't like suffering, right? We don't want to, lots of suffering. So we want to be released from our suffering. See, this is a kind of natural attitude, natural reaction to suffering. So we have to stop suffering. See, this is number 3. And then the status to be released from suffering is enlightenment. Totally released from suffering is called enlightenment or nirvana in Buddhism. And then number 4, then how am I released from those suffering? See? And then there are 8 paths. 8 paths is the number 4. There are paths to sensation. So now again we can find the cause and effect relationship here too. So this is very understandable. This is very logical, and this is very reasonable, teaching in Buddhism. But those teachings, those truths, came from Shakyamuni Buddha's mindful reflection upon himself and this world. Right? There is nothing special here. This is very understandable thing, right? And then in Buddhism, we teach other, we have other teachings. Non-self, muga, in Japanese muga, non-self, impermanence, interdependent arising. See, those are very understandable and logical, reasonable things, right? Then those teachings are result of mindful reflection. See? This is how Shakyamuni Buddha reveals those teachings, those truths. So I think feature of Buddhism is to mindfully focus our thoughts on everything. See, myself or this world or everything in our daily life. This is a very important thing in the Buddhist teaching. Then on page 7, I put the result of Shinran Shonin's inward reflection upon himself. So as a Buddhist, Shinran Shonin, he, mindfully focused on himself, his existence. Then what did he find? I put the 4 passages of Shinran Shonin. Those are passages written by Shinran Shonin. The first one, I know truly how grievous it is that I, Gutoku Shinran, am sinking in the immense ocean of desires and attachment, and I'm lost in vast mountains of fame and advantage. See? And the second one is, Soro-san, could you read the second one? We are full of...
We are full of ignorance and blind passion. Our desires are countless, and anger, wrath, jealousy, and envy are overwhelming, arising without pause. To the very last moment of life, they do not cease or disappear, or exhaust themselves.
And then Cassie-san, could you read the third? Oh, yes. Oh. But it doesn't help.
Is it working? Each of us in outward bearing makes a show of being wise, good, and dedicated. But so great are our greed, anger, perversity, and deceit that we are filled with all forms of malice and cunning.
お名前をちょっといただいても。
We are full of ignorance and blind passion. Our desires are countless, and anger, wrath, jealousy, and envy are overwhelming, arising without pause. To the very last moment of life, they do not cease or disappear or exhaust themselves.
Read the last part.
Mm-hmm.
Did you want me to do the last one?
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
Did you read the last one?
Read the last part. Extremely difficult.
Extremely difficult it is to put an end to our evil nature. The mind is like a venomous snake or scorpion. Our performance of good act is also poisoned. Hence, it is called false and empty practice.
Okay, those are passages written by Shinran Shonin. See, Shinran Shonin, I put the Shinran Shonin's picture there on bottom of page 7. See, he devoted to a hard Buddhist practice for 20 years. See, 20 years at the Mount Hiei. See? From early morning to late night, he spent 20 years as a Buddhist monk at the Mount Hiei. And then after he, descend Mount Hiei, and he become a disciple of Honen Shonin. And then after that, he, devoted himself to spread the teaching of Nembutsu to many people. And he followed by thousands of people. See? So usually, maybe we proud We proud of ourselves or our state or career. Right? But Shinran Shonin didn't do that. See? Rather, he expressed or confessed the reality of his existence. See? Those are passages, after Shinran Shonin, like a 60s or 80s, right? So rather than proud of his status or his career, he, confessed his insight of himself, because this is what he found in himself. Right? He was a very honest person. Right? Then on page 8. Now I'd like to go to the, how Shinran Shonin looked at the world he lived. See, the first thing is this world is Saha world. Okay. So this is a kind of general understanding of Buddhism. This world is a Saha world. Saha is a Sanskrit word, and then which means this is a learned or world of enduring hardships. See, because as the first of Four Noble Truths, it shows. See, we have to encounter suffering. See, as long as we live, we have to encounter suffering. Although, see, we have many happiness or something nice, enjoyable in this world, but when we lose it, see, those happiness or enjoyable things is also a kind of a cause of our suffering, right? When we lose it, we have to suffer, which means the happiness or pleasurable things are kind of related or leads to our suffering in the end. See? So in that sense, this world is a Saha, land of enduring suffering. This is a kind of general understanding of Buddhism. Of course, Shinran Shonin adopts this view of this world. And then second thing is he lived in the last Dharma age, which is called Mappo in Japanese. So on page 29, I put a detailed explanation of Mappo, last Dharma age. See, on page 9 at the top. In the Buddhist tradition, there has long been a concern with the following periods of time, which are referred to the three Dharma ages. The first one is light Dharma age, which will last 500 years, some say 1,000 years, after the death of Shakyamuni Buddha. And then the second one is semblance of the Dharma age, which will last for 1,000 years. And then the third one is last Dharma age, which will last 10,000 years. See? And then I put the underline of the explanation of these three ages. The first one, right Dharma age. During that time, the teaching was available. And then there existed those who could perform the practices based on the teaching. And then it is possible for them to attain enlightenment. So this is the light Dharma age. And then the second one, semblance of the Dharma age. Okay? The teaching was available. And there are those who could perform the practices. However, it is not possible for them to attain enlightenment. See? This is because the ability of because no Buddha, and then our ability become weak, and this is a kind of issue of our self-practice issues. And then there are many obstacles in this world. So that's why it is so that it's very hard or almost impossible to attain enlightenment in this age. And then the last one, last Dharma age, then all that remains is just teaching. No one can perform the practices, and then thus it is not possible for anyone to attain enlightenment. See? This is a kind of view, especially in the Pure Land Buddhism. This is a kind of view how they, think about this world after Shakyamuni Buddha passed away. So Shinran Shonin, he was lived in the last Dharma age. See, he lived in the last Dharma age. So that's why he thought he could access to the teaching, but it's very hard to practice, as the teaching. And also, it was almost impossible to attain enlightenment in that world because so many obstacles in this world, and then he didn't have enough ability, but good ability to completely perform the practice. So he thought it's impossible, almost impossible to attain enlightenment in this world. However, the purpose of Buddhism is to attain enlightenment. Right? So I think he wondered how I should do. Then I'd like to, so where to attain enlightenment in such an era? Yeah? Where to attain enlightenment in such an era? He lived in the last Dharma age. Yeah? So in Buddhism, there are two ways. See, one is in this world where there are many obstacles, which is called the path of sages. In Japanese, Shodomo. Yeah? And then the other way is in Pure Land. We attain enlightenment in Pure Land, where practitioners can focus on practice, yeah? Which is called Pure Land way, Jodo Kyo. Then Shinran Shonin, he thought, based on his deep reflection of himself, I should select the Pure Land way. See? Because this world is very tough, hard for him to concentrate on practice. Right? Then I put a description of a parable, in a parable of white path. Yeah? So the eastern bank is the burning house that is this Saha world. And then western bank, the precious land of perfect peace. I put a story of white path on page 30 to 32. If you're tired of reading these passages, just jump to the page 32. I put a picture too. So Pure Land Buddhism. Pure Land Buddhism. It teaches to attain enlightenment in the Buddha's land, not this world. Then Shandao, on page 24, the fifth of the seven masters, Shandao, eminent monk in China, he showed us this parable, white path, in his writing. This is a kind of story how we attain, birth in the Pure Land. See? I will briefly explain this picture on 32. There is one traveler traveling toward the west. And then suddenly, there's a big river in front of him. North part is a big river, like a tsunami type of a river. And then the south part is a fire river of fire. And then there is only a couple of inches white bridge to the other shore. The traveler, he wondered how I should do. See? On the north part, it's a kind of tidal wave. See, the big wave coming over the white path, and the south part there's a big fire. So he thought it's almost impossible to go forward and then cross this white bridge, and it's very narrow. While he was wandering, he heard something from the back. And then he looked back. There are some, bandits, and then some, tigers and lions coming up to him. They try to eat him. Bandits try to rob something from this traveler. So this traveler wondered, oh, what I should do. Then he heard the voice from the eastern side. See? Okay, don't worry, go ahead. And then also he heard another voice from the other shore, west shore. Yeah. Okay, don't worry, come. And then he decided, following these voices, he decided to walk this narrow path to the west shore. So this is a kind of description how we go to attain birth in the Pure Land, which is sort located in the west. But I think my explanation is not good enough, so I think I recommend you to read this explanation on page 30 and 31. So anyway, go back to the page 8. The eastern bank is a burning house. That is this Saha world. See, this eastern bank is this world that we live. See, and the western bank is Buddha's pure. So Shandao, he thought this world is Saha world, and then it's like a burning house. We are living in a burning house. And then also I put the Shinran Shonin's description of this world. Yeah? But this is from Tannisho. Yeah? This is from Tannisho. So, but with a foolish being from blind passions in this fleeting world, this burning house, all matters without exception are empty and false, totally without truth and sincerity. Yeah. This is how Shinran Shonin viewed this world. So that's why he thought he should, make a choice of Pure, not in this world. Okay, so anyway, it's 10 o'clock now. It's time to have a break.
Take 15 minutes.
10 minutes break.
10 minutes.